When it comes to the human machine, there are few basic needs in which it can operate efficiently. Of those needs, the fuel that allows us the power to keep moving forward would have been the first to progress. From hunting and gathering, to plowing by aid of animals, to the unfolding of the enormous agricultural industries we have today, the way in which we meet these demands is constantly changing. Amid a growing population, our lifestyles continue to play a greater role in how we attain these necessities. But as we push on, what lengths will we go to, and is there a better way forward? The Amazon consists of 9 countries in the southern region of South America. It houses over 80,000 species of plants, 2.5 million species of insects, and is the largest rainforest in the world. However, in what has become known as the richest and most diverse biological reservoir on our planet, it is also known as a wet desert, whose majority of soils are of poor quality. Due to its hot and humid climate, organic matter decomposes too quickly, losing a high amount of nutrients far faster than what the ground can claim. What little is left is absorbed by growing plants, and the remainder are washed away, leaving the soil acidic and impoverished. Yet despite this, its past shows this area to have had at one time a massive civilization whom did not seem to require its native soil. In 1870, Charles Hart, a professor at Cornell, came across a black earth in patches within the sites he was researching. Though his studies of life in the Amazon led him to many discoveries, including the richness of one of these soils, Charles had determined that these patches were likely created from kitchen middens. In essence, an area where a settlement would dispose of leftover food, burnt wood, and broken pottery. Years would pass before anyone would take up and question just exactly what Hart had found. Dutch scientist Wim Sobrook, who had been looking into this black earth, suggested in 1992 that it could be possible to create the soil through the use of plant charcoal. He acknowledged the potential of Terra Preta and was fascinated by its properties. Much of what we know of it today was propelled by his efforts. Terra Preta to Sobrook was the answer to many of the hardships around the world. The implications of what could be gained in discovering its secret would not only offer a solution to what plagues third world countries, but to the finder, a billion-dollar industry, and this drove scientific and business communities alike trying to uncover its secret. Tribes within the Amazon search for this soil because they know it will yield healthy crops year after year. But knowledge to replicate its regenerating properties have been lost. It is all the more unusual that amid the same battering which drained the jungle's native soil, that this particular one has thrived. Some researchers noted that plots of Terra Preta continued to yield bountiful crops without replenishing, even though they had been farmed by locals for over 40 years unceasingly. Governments, prestigious universities, and business ventures have been trying to understand just what gives Terra Preta its ability to regenerate so it can be duplicated. Study after study have been placed into replicating the original soil, and although it has shown benefits, it does not compare to the pre-Columbian earth that was created thousands of years ago. In their attempt to understand how this earth was designed, theories were put forward, leading many to question if this earth could have been the result of natural means. One suggestion describes flooding through monsoons, which carried and distributed the contents of nearby villages mixed with fires within the forest, as well as wood the locals were burning. They have also proposed a theory that fire followed by flooding spread the contents of the settlements throughout the soil. While this could end up being fact for some areas, as the soil covers 10% of the Amazon basin, it is also found high in the mountains as well. Another proposal sees these segments of land as community waste dumps. But substances throughout the soil were settled in such a way that the people would have had to have ground everything before laying it out above the native soil in equal distribution. The area would have also have been unlivable, and because we know settlements were present at the time, the evidence is concrete enough to determine with positivity that what was being laid out was in fact soil for farming and not a waste facility. Some believe that whatever theory turns out to be true, the missing factor is age, which is the one thing that science cannot create to duplicate Terra Preta's rejuvenating effects. But if age is the reason, why is it that the chemicals in this soil have barely changed throughout time? Tests conducted have determined that the difference between plots of Terra Preta, which have been dated at 500 to 1,000 years, to be undistinguishable from those dated at 7 to 10,000 years. If the pace at which Terra Preta ages can barely be visible between soils of drastically different times, how can we be sure of its age? Could this mean they are significantly older? Due to some rather interesting discoveries, there is another theory which has gained momentum and has remained the strongest among others. Within the denseness of the jungle, scientists came across an abundance of domesticated plants. Some of these were found to have been domesticated between 8 and 10,000 years ago, and that date continues to grow as new studies emerge. The majority of the domesticated flora are fruit-producing trees. Surprisingly, they have the ability to continue producing large fruit without the interruption from people as our crops require. Of the 85 domesticated species, there may likely be more if we consider aromatics, herbs, and oils. Another piece of information and a possible link to the creators of Terra Preta are trenches, which have been found in the jungle dating to pre-Columbian times. They have been found to take on shapes from straight lines, circles, and squares, and the dimensions of many of the straight lines are 1 kilometer long by 3 meters deep by 4 meters wide. Could this be more proof of the measure at which the creators of Terra Preta were involved in, that point to farming on a massive scale? Not to mention the overwhelming sights whose grandeur and circumstance lead anyone who comes across them to wonder, what else were those who were able to work wonders in their creation of megalithic and monolithic stone capable of? Could the Amazon have been a centralized agricultural hub for not only its civilians, but also to trade goods with others? Current science does not deny the influence these people have had in shaping the Amazon and the areas outside its borders. But how far and how wide this operation extended to is still not clear. How did these ancient people figure out a recipe for a soil that continues to replenish itself for thousands of years? How much trial and error did they require before they succeeded? Our current civilization requires certain steps to be taken in order to reach a specific platform, such as when gas changed the automobile industry, or how we would not have computers without first having to discover all of the things that led up to it being possible. This comes with some interesting questions. How many steps were required in order to produce the most fertile soil in the world? Some sites around the world are claimed to have used Terra Preta, but upon further examination, the dates do not line up with the ages found in South America, and the type of soil has been said to have been created through slash and burn. However, this technique must be applied routinely, whereas Terra Preta does not require the interference of man to maintain itself. No matter how much planning we utilize in our present time, there are failures which occur as we figure out a way to make things work. Our current attempts to replicate this soil have been ongoing for over 30 years, and we have not been able to unlock its secret. As we aim to find ways where we can continue to live in our current state, we look for technologies which can afford us our habits with the least amount of damage possible. If our end goal is that of a perfect technology, which benefits ourselves as well as the planet, will we eventually reach systems and products that parallel our past? Could it be possible that we have uncovered the answer from a people who have already passed these steps?